engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Hello and welcome to Faith on Film. I'm Isaac Hernandez here with my co-host Holly McClure. Holly, how you doing?
Isaac, I'm doing great. We just had a fun weekend. Well, I had the weekend. You had a week at ICVM, and boy, did we have a good time or what? Saw a couple of friends, kind of a reunion, didn't we?
It was. I used to go to a lot of these things, and I don't go to as many anymore. But I also think I'm getting a little old now because even just going to this one and being there for like 5 days, I came back tired. Really tired.
Well, I came back excited about what we saw and who we met and the new things that are going on with filmmakers, with television series, that the younger generation that's getting into this. It's exciting to see this. It's exciting to see not only the people that I talked about that we've known for years, but to see a younger generation come up excited about filmmaking, excited about getting into telling stories. And we heard from several people that were main speakers that I felt really spoke to getting the stories. Jesus told parables. We as Christians tell our stories, and they are the parables of today. So I loved it. Had such a great time.
Well, we, of course, are talking about ICVM Storytellers Conference that we just attended. ICVM Storytellers Conference is basically a conference where a lot of filmmakers, television producers, actors, writers, whatever. It's just a great conference. I've attended it, oh my goodness, like 20 years. I'm a board member there. I've been a board member for like 9 years. But it is a wonderful, probably one of my favorite conferences. But anyway, one of the nice things is that we started off every day with worship. Okay, so it's a film conference, but we still take the first part of the day to at least honor God and invite him to our conference, basically invite his presence. So that was really cool. We had a really good singer there to lead us all in worship, and that was wonderful. But as a Latino, by the way, I was very excited because our first day was geared towards the Latino market. Now,
which is an ever-expanding market. It's a huge market.
It's huge. I mean, just think about it. We got America here, but in the Latino market, you got Mexico.
Yes.
You got Venezuela. You got Costa Rica. There's a lot of countries out there that are the Latino market.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was not like something for Latinos. It was actually a day for us in the American market to learn about the Latino market. So that was pretty exciting for me. How about for you, Holly?
I actually met someone from Venezuela, which I thought was really interesting, and Brazil. So it was fun to see people coming up going, yes, I'm from Brazil and Venezuela, and they're very interested in what they're doing. So I think that was exciting. I loved seeing Beverly Holloway. She is a casting director, which many of you may know. She did I Can Only Imagine, and she just recast I Can Only Imagine too. And she's in other amazing films. And she was there and led an interesting thing where she did a course on teaching on how to do auditions and monologues. You would come up and do a monologue to kind of audition for her. Then she chose the 5 best ones. And then we got to see a variety of monologues. And again, something very different for ICVM, not just seeing films, but actual practical sessions, breakout sessions on directing, on how to start a film, on how to produce a film, on acting. And so I love seeing Beverly, and it was fun to hear what she had to say. And I think, Isaac, didn't she get nominated or elected to the board now, ICVM board?
Well, as a matter of fact, she is now a board member of ICVM, yes. I guess the board that was there kind of felt like we needed somebody that was in that actor world, because most of our folks are more in the production world, and we didn't have somebody that was in the acting world, and so we figured we would bring her in as a board member.
I think too, what I was impressed with was the animation and seeing the whole new world of animation. As a matter of fact, we heard from Tom Bancroft, and Tom Bancroft is one of the animators that worked on Light of the World. His twin brother also worked at it, and he had the director there as well. Light of the World, we reviewed that, and I think we spoke with the director.
Yeah, I had the director of him on the show a few shows back.
And And Light of the World was so good. So we got a chance to hear from him. And I love Tom and I loved his partner. And what they were talking about was how both of them had been in Disney. Both of them had been in that Disney world. And both of them gave testimony on how they got to the point where they realized what they were producing, what they were doing as animation, the stories they were telling just wasn't jiving with their spiritual life or their perspective. And they didn't want to do it anymore. And both of them chose to get out. And when they did then and start their own animation company, God has just blessed them and put amazing projects in their path. And they're doing, in fact, they're doing that one. They did an animated one. It's called My Neighbor, and it had birds. It's on Angel right now. And it is so funny with just birds, but it's sweet how the bird's sharing with another bird. And we were all sitting there going, oh, and I mean, you know, it's for kids, but all the adults in the room were like, oh, this is so cute watching birds, you know. So I, for folks, if you want to go on Angel and look at My Neighbor, there's a red cardinal and a bluebird, I think, on the cover for doing it, but really precious and cute. And so encouraging, especially for Isaac, when we review movies, we've been seeing the Disney trend and been seeing with the woke and how we had come out of that and it challenged several films that we would recommend or not recommend because of the wokeness in them. So it was encouraging to hear people that are professional like that in the Christian realm making quality work.
And it takes a lot of courage to leave a job that you know must have been a very good paying job. I mean, these guys worked on the top films, you know, Mulan and Lion King and all these major movies. So to make that kind of commitment and say, okay, it just doesn't jive with my belief and with my faith. I'm going to leave a really good paying job and see what happens.
Yeah.
Of course, having the faith that they did, I guess God is responding and is making it work for them.
It's funny because I said, Tom, okay, we've talked about the Christian aspect. Now I want to go back a little ways with you, Tom. I said, well, you're in Orange County, right? He said, yeah. I said, in the 90s. He said, yeah. I said, do you remember the Orange County Register? He said, yeah. I said, do you remember calling Holly McClure, Family Films? And he goes, that's you. He goes, yes, I remember that. I go, and you remember KKLA Los Angeles? And I had Saturday Nights with Holly. Anyway, it was so much fun. He goes, oh, Holly, I had no idea. And so it was fun to like reconnect. I said, yeah, I was reviewing films back then, the animated films that you were doing. I was reviewing your films, the animated films. So it was funny to kind of go back on that too as well and point out all the animated movies he worked on, which are the greats. We could have a list of them. But anyway, I thought that was fun.
You know, another very interesting thing that we've done at ICVM for, I think it's the past 2 or 3 years, is something called the Lion's Den, which is sort of a Shark Tank event in which these pretty major investors that are looking to invest in Christian companies, not in a movie, but an entire company, come over and we get people to submit to present to them their company, their projects. And then from all that submit, then Paul, the president of ICVM, picks 5 that will actually get to pitch to these folks. And I got to tell you that I was in there I didn't stay the whole time, but I was in there for a bit. And the questions they ask are pretty tough. So if you're going to pitch, you better come really prepared. And of course, for all the rest of the folks that were there, they get to learn basically how to pitch to somebody who is, you know, at that level of investment.
Right. And there is an art to pitching, folks. There really is. Do we have time in this segment, or do we need to take a break?
Let's do one more segment, because I think I know what you're going to want to talk about right now.
Okay. I got to sit by Isaac as he was getting pitches. And I got to listen to the people, because Isaac was doing it for another production company. So I said, can I, sit along? He said, yeah. So we got to see several people come up to pitch. And folks, okay, people came up, literally a girl came up and it was handwritten, scribbled on a piece of paper. And she was reading her handwritten note on a piece of paper and reading what it was and flipping over and reading the handwritten. And I'm like, that was her pitch. We're like, well, do you have anything for us to look at? Do you have, anything, like on your laptop, or do you have any printed? Nope, just have this. Another couple came up and started talking about their show and handed a card. And we were like, okay, well, this is, a finished show. That was the pitch for a finished product. So do you have something we can look at? Do you have a trailer? Oh yeah, it's on that card. And we were like, okay, but we don't have time to
look at a card.
Okay. We can't look at a card. He goes, well, just try to put your phone up. And then we tried, and the internet was bad. And we're like, okay, that's why you need to have your pitch ready.
Yes.
I mean, so for me, I just want to say, and this is probably not our audience, but if there's anybody out there going to do a pitch, please have it organized, have the notes taken, have
Yes.
something for people to see, condense, do an elevator pitch, be able to say what it is in 2 minutes or less or 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
I mean, really refine it, because when you're on that level, you need to be there for people to take you seriously.
Yes, you do. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break and be back with more Faith on Film.
What makes Capernaum Studios different from other movie studios? We believe in empowering filmmakers to make stories that matter, inspire, uplift, and transform lives. From historically authentic sets to state-of-the-art, fully equipped sound stages, we offer immersive LED and green screen stages, ICVFX virtual production, period to modern sets, a first-century village featured in The Chosen, and much more. We provide everything filmmakers need to focus on what matters in making their vision a reality, producing meaningful content affordably without compromising creativity. Discovering what's possible when creativity meets purpose. Capernaum Studios, empowering filmmakers to make dreams a reality.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. Holly, we left off where we were talking about knowing how to pitch, and it just reminded me of another pitch session that we did. It wasn't at ICVM, it was a different conference. Let me see if you remember, but this lady came up and did her pitch, and then she said she wanted $100 million to produce this thing. Remember that?
I do. We're like $100 million. I mean, that's $100 million.
Well, here was the funny part: is you asked her, "Well, what's it for? How are you going to spend $100 million?" She had no clue. She even said, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah. Had no clue. Didn't have it written down. Didn't have it even. Didn't go, here's what it looks like. Nothing to show us. And like, you're wanting us to just like find you $100 million and you have nothing. No. And she said, and I remember her saying, well, the Lord gave me this vision. He gave it to me. And he goes, the Lord downloaded it. And I know it's from the Lord. And because I know it's from the Lord, I got it. If it comes that time, I can lay it out and pitch it. But you just have to trust that the Lord gave this to me.
Right.
Okay, folks, please don't say that to anyone ever listening to your pitch. The Lord gave it.
Well, we bring that up.
It's just inappropriate.
We bring that up just so people know what we sometimes have to go through in this industry.
Oh my goodness, it was so true, so true.
What else? What else do you remember from the conference that just stuck in your head and you were so excited to be a part of?
Well, I think that what stuck out to me, and always does, is relationships. We have been going to these things, and I say these things, ICVM, NRB, these conferences since the 90s. And, and in some cases, we see people that we've known for 25, 30 years, in the business, and 20 years. And even with networks, I could name the networks right now. There was so many. Paul and the network he's with, there's others that were there. And the thing is that it's so encouraging to still see that there is a tight-knit group of people who really have a heart for the Christian families and Christian films and want to make quality work. Okay. It has stepped up. The Irwin brothers have stepped it up. House of David has stepped it up. I can only imagine 2 is coming out in February. That's going to step it up. We are seeing a new level of filmmaker. So it's no longer considered, the bad light, the sound, the bad lighting, bad acting. It's no longer that, and so, in fact, there's a movie that came out this last weekend, I think, or 2, The Senior. We reviewed that and talked about it, and that's still in box office right now, about the 59-year-old that wanted to play football and went back and finished his senior year and played. You wouldn't say it's a Christian story, but it's definitely a good story with a faith message, relationship messages in there. And so we're seeing more and more of those now. And it really is encouraging to me to see more filmmakers producing that, and some of the people we've known, the studios we know, saying, yeah, we're stepping up our game. This is the kind of entertainment we have to make now.
Yeah, you know what? I remember I used to work in Christian television, and we used to have a horrible saying. I don't know why we kept saying that, but we used to say, that's good enough for Christian TV. Like, because because it was like, okay, we're not at that other level, but hey, it's Christian TV, so that's good enough.
Exactly.
And I'm glad to see that no longer is applying, because a lot of the content that we're seeing is good enough for any TV. It's good enough for any theater. It's up there in the level of the big studios. So no more. It's good enough for Christian TV.
Well, what we're seeing right now, as a matter of fact, is we're seeing Netflix with Ruth and Boaz, and they just got Tyler Perry and Devon Franklin's Ruth and Boaz. They want to do other works with them and other series with them. Amazon has House of David, second season just released, is the second season. So what we're seeing is the streaming entities, which now are just as powerful as the studios, because I think Netflix may even buy Warner Brothers. They're in the negotiation for that right now. So we're seeing the streamers that used to be, well, that's just a little streaming company. Oh, really? Well, now they've got the market, and they saw what Christian filmmaking has done. They see what Christian films are doing with the audience, and they want to be a part of it. They want that audience. They can see that it's the loyal audience. So it's an exciting time right now, I think, and to be seeing films, I wouldn't say Hollywood, but just Christian wood. Just a Christian wood, of our own films, because a lot of them are independent. They're not with Hollywood, but they're making it to theaters. And so I think it's exciting to see that, and what we're doing. It really is.
Yeah. And of course, there's one way that you, the viewing audience, can help and make sure that continues to happen. And that is by going to see these movies. Don't just say, oh, yeah, I'm glad they made a nice Christian movie. I'm going to stay home. You need to get to the theater, because that's how this is going to continue.
Right.
Holly?
Isaac, you were on several panels. We talked about the pitching that we got. But, overall, would you say that over all the panels that you listened to, was there one or two projects that really stuck out to you that you were like, you know what, this could be done? I remember one with those guys, but I mean, was there some that stuck out to you?
Well, for me, going back to the Latino thing, there was a movie that was screened on that first night, the Latino night, which I loved it. I really loved it. First of all, the quality was great. But even more than that, I tracked with it because it kind of reminded me of my upbringing. It's a movie that it's a comedy, and it sort of kind of made a little bit of fun of that old Pentecostal, very legalistic, way of being raised, which is exactly how I was raised. I mean, I couldn't go to the theater. I couldn't, go to school dances. I couldn't have long hair, which I loved. I don't have any more hair at all, but when I did, it was long. My wife, who also grew up in that, couldn't wear pants, couldn't wear earrings, couldn't do makeup. I mean, the whole works. And so in this movie, it kind of made satire of that without disrespecting it, because at the end you realize that for me anyway, it helped lay my foundation. But I was just so impressed with that movie, and I got to host the Q&A for it, which was to me very exciting. As far as other panels, you know what, I don't participate in too many, but I do see that there's a lot of very good panels that are out there that help filmmakers, quite a bit, showing them either legal stuff or, again, even how to find funding or how to really know how to, what's the word I'm looking for? How to do social media and make sure that you really grow your social media platform.
Right.
A lot of great platforms.
Well, I love it. What's the name of that Latino movie? Do you remember, or can you say it?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was called, now in Spanish, it's called The Faith Family. That's the way they translated into English, was The Faith Family. Yeah. And it's literally because the family was a pastor and his wife of one of these churches, and their son who wanted to be the next pastor, and their last name was actually Fe, or Faith. And so that's why they translated to The Faith Family. And by the way, what's interesting is they did it in both Spanish and English. So the actors had to do double duty. They first did the scene in Spanish, and then they would do the scene in English. That way it didn't have to be subtitled, although it was for us that night because they don't have the English one ready.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty funny, and again, really well done. Great acting, great everything.
Okay, I'll tell you another highlight for me was to see Isaac get up at the very end and get to announce all of the nominations for the best film, best screenplay, best script, best whatever, best directing, all of the nominations, which we will not know the winners until NRB and ICVM goes right before NRB in February, and that'll be at the Gaylord in Nashville. But our show got nominated, which I was so proud of, and everyone clapped, and we were like, yes, yeah, it was fun.
These are the finalists for Best Video Podcast. Faith on Film 244, Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure, producers.
It was fun to see Faith on Film get some recognition. We put a lot of hard work into this show, and it was nice to see recognition and be nominated. So that was thrilling.
It was. This is the third time that we submit, and the third time that it actually makes the top 5. And on the first year, it won silver, which means like the top 3. And then the second year, it won bronze. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The first year, it won bronze, which is the third. Then the next year, it won silver, which would be like, let's say, the top 2. You think we'll win gold this year? That would be the...
Well, I don't know. But you know what? Even if we don't, it's just an honor. It really is to be nominated. Because I tell you why, folks, there was 500 or 600 submissions. 607 submissions. That means, people submitted their trailers, their movies, their TV shows, and the podcast. So it wasn't like, there's only 3, and so 3 out of 3 you get nominated. It's not like that. It really is a competitive thing.
No, yeah, in fact, in our category of video podcast, he said most of the categories had at least 25 or more.
Wow.
So I'm going to say that in our category, there must have been at least 25.
Yeah.
You were the top 5. And
I'm excited about that.
The thing is that even video podcast kind of content is really getting really high end. It is. It's not like it's just this video podcast that's done very low quality. A lot of them are actually done very, very high end.
And there's more of them now. And more people are doing their shows, their talk shows. There's so many in that group now.
I know.
And women's shows. So yeah, that was a highlight for me and fun to see you get up there and do that. And that was the closing out of the last evening. So that was nice. Yeah, I love folks. We're talking about ICVM. And it's 2025, but ICVM 2026 is coming up. And if you know someone that has a film or beginning, or someone that wants to enter a screenplay or that they've written or enter, they've got all these different categories. And why not? Because if you won an award for your screenplay, if you won an award for your trailer, if you won an award for your TV show, podcast, whatever it is, imagine being able to have that credential to go in to get financing for your next project or for what's coming up. So it does make a difference. People do pay attention.
Yes.
Filmmakers, production companies, investors pay attention if you won awards or not. So if you have any idea or any families out there, any inkling of someone who wants to do it, let them know, because it's never too late to go ahead and enter that for next year.
Absolutely. And you know what? When the submission opens up for next year, let's let people know so they can do that.
Yes.
But in the meantime, let's take another quick little break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back to say goodbye.
What do we have to gain?
Pretty much everything.
I have loved you every day, every hour, every minute, every second ever since.
We don't always get what we want, but we always get what we need. We're connected. All of us.
If you're looking for a movie with nostalgic charm and a great message, you got to see Jesus Freaks. It is based on a true story about love, faith, and the power of the Holy Spirit that rocked the world 50 years ago during the Jesus Revolution. Written and directed by Nina May, it features Sam and Kevin Sorbo. It is available at JesusFreaksMovie.com and Amazon Prime. I'm telling you, you're gonna love this movie. Get it today at JesusFreaksMovie.com or Amazon.
Okay. But my most exciting thing that happened to me, which I've saved for the last, and I know you have too, the most exciting thing was meeting and hearing from Alejandro Monteverde. Now, I know you can say it better with an accent, but that's as good as I can get. Alejandro Monteverde. Folks, he did Cabrini, okay? He did A Sound of Freedom. He did, there's Belle. No, yeah. Is it Belle?
Bella.
And then he did Bella, and he did Little Boy. He's done several. And he came out with a new movie, and we got a chance to talk about it and hear from it. It's not finished yet, so we're not going to cover or review it because he was just talking about the concept. I got to get a picture with him, which we'll show you. But the thing that's impressive about him is hearing from someone that was born in Mexico, that came up through the ranks, hard fought. It wasn't easy to make beautiful films. And now with Angel, he's being promoted all over the world, and we're seeing his film. And it was so interesting to hear his concept of art was important to him. The visuals are important to him. Entertaining the audience, not just with words, but absorbing into the scenes, how important that was to him. So I loved hearing from Alejandro.
He said something very interesting that really shows how important to him, at least, and I'm sure to most of us, the visuals are. Because he said, you hear with your eyes. And that was kind of interesting to hear, because that's why he makes sure that artistically his movies are just amazing.
Yeah.
He feels like that. He said something like, you could take away the sound, and you're still going to get the movie from just what he did visually.
Just what he did visually. And honestly, we saw the movie, you could have literally taken off the sound and you would pretty much follow the story because that's how he visually told. I mean, and there was some stunning scenes that look like postcards. I mean, I wish I could go click and have that. But anyway, and we'll be hearing more about him in the future and when he gets further along and we can talk about the film. But I really enjoyed hearing, and we honored him. He got an award and he got a standing ovation, and people honored him, and he was truly, really touched. Yeah, and it's so fun for me to see, a director, producer, someone who's worked really hard to get the accolades, and it really did mean something to him.
Yeah, and we did an interview with him. I don't know if it was last year. Well, for Cabrini, when Cabrini came out, we did an interview with him, but that was like this online. But we got a chance to meet him in person, and I don't know. There's something about being able to just go in and shake a hand or give a hug or something. In fact, I shared the picture, Isaac, that we had. You gave me that picture of him, that still. And so I went up to get my picture taken, and I said, "Look, we interviewed you for Cabrini," and he goes, "Oh, I look younger now." And I go, "Yes, you do," because I look younger now. Oh my goodness! Well, Holly, that was a lot of fun talking about what we experienced out there at ICVM Storytellers Conference. Again, check out their website. It's ICVM.com. And you know what? Look for the show, the Crown Awards from last year that I produced. So I think in the website, somewhere along there, just go to it and find the show and watch it. It's a wonderful award show. So
I will excite you to enter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's it for today. Holly, how you ready to just take a rest from that tiredness of the week that we spent there?
I tell you, we're getting ready at Confirmed Studios for October, unveiled show. So we got a lot of work going on, and we'll be telling more about that next week.
Excellent. Well, that's it for today, folks. Don't forget to check out our website, faithonfilmtv.com. That's faithonfilmtv.com. See you next time.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.